I just finished The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which means it's time to sit down and give my spoiler-free review of the game. My name is James, and I started this channel simply because I love video games. If that sounds like you, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos just like this one. So, Vanishing of Ethan Carter, I didn't really know much about this game before I started playing it. I knew that it was a walking simulator, and I knew that I wanted something a little bit more after finishing Doom. And I ended up picking up this game as part of the Days of Play sale, probably, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. For those that don't know, Vanishing of Ethan Carter, you play as a detective who goes into a town in the, I think, like, early to mid 1970s to try to figure out what happened to this missing boy, Ethan Carter. I'm playing the PS4 version of the game on PS5. As far as I know, there is no official PS5 version. And, you know, some boring stuff that I should also tell you about. I kept most of the settings at their default. I did, however, change the frame rate from the default locked 30 setting to the unlimited. I think it's unlimited. And that actually did make a noticeable improvement on the frame rate. But even before, even at the locked 30, it didn't really bother me. I'm not very sensitive to frame rate. I can play a game at 10 frames a second and enjoy it just the same. Total, I played the game for about maybe 3.5 hours, and I generally enjoyed my time with it. And that will lead us right into the positives. All right, so right off the bat, some positives that I found. Visually, the game was pretty impressive considering that it was an early PS4 game, but not like photorealistic impressive, but they did a really great job with the lighting and the items in the world to create the ambiance that they were going for. Also, the voice acting was pretty good too. There's voice acting done by your character, the detective, which is pretty monotone. However, that kind of made sense to me because it's supposed to be his like internal thoughts, like kind of his internal monologue just being vocalized. And then also Ethan and most of his family members, who most of their names I honestly don't really remember. The way the story is presented to you, you as the detective go around and you'll find, like, I'm going to completely make something up so because I don't want to spoil really any part of the game since it is a rather short experience. All right, so I'm the detective. I come into my house and I find this computer mouse, this Nintendo Switch game case, and this, and it's like thrown on the floor. And once you discover enough of these little pieces of evidence, you're able to kind of piece together what happened. And so where the gameplay comes in, most of the gameplay obviously is walking around and kind of finding these, but also some of the gameplay is kind of you're presented with multiple scenes at a time and kind of unscrambling the scenes. And those, at first I didn't really get what I was supposed to do with those, but then later on in the game it was like, okay, I need to unscramble these scenes into a complete story. And that's actually a really great way to transition into my mixed stuff that I was feeling about this game. First one being that the game is pretty short. I didn't know what I was doing and got lost a little bit, and I could have probably... And I spent somewhere between 3 and 4 hours with the game. Somebody that's better with these kind of games could have probably done it in maybe 2 hours or even an hour. I don't know. So I did like that it was kind of a tight experience. However, I didn't really like that. So I liked that it was a tighter experience, but I didn't like that you could just completely miss chunks of the game if you stumbled upon a part that you were supposed to be later. On my playthrough, there's like 5 or 6 main sections, and I was just kind of fumbling around in the beginning of the game. And almost immediately to what I think is supposed to be like the third or fourth section. And then as a result of that, at the end, when I reached what is considered like the end of the game, like the final area, I had to go back to some of those earlier areas and uncover the stories that went down there. Next thing that I need to talk about here is the movement speed. You can hold one of the triggers to walk a little bit faster, and generally I felt like your movement speed was pretty good. However, there are a few sections where you have to like walk through water, or walk through like mud or sand or something, and on those sections your movement speed gets slowed down so much, and I really couldn't help but feeling that like that was a way to artificially inflate the runtime of the game so that people weren't just like blitzing through the game in like an hour. Also, I like it when games let you figure out stuff for yourself. However, there's a certain level of instruction that's required in order to just understand what's going on. And so there is no tutorial whatsoever, and that's another thing that I feel like if I didn't have to spend time even like understanding how the game works, I wouldn't have, it would have been even a shorter experience. And yeah, so no tutorial. And that's a good spot to go into the negative part of the review, which this part will actually be pretty quick. Biggest negative for me is that I spent a lot of the time, I spent probably about half the time that I was playing the game confused of like, you would uncover a story and then it's like, okay, where do I go now? And so then you just kind of like fumble around in the world until you realize like, oh, there's a path over here that I can go down. And so I would have liked even something as simple as like you uncover a story and then like it shows a door opening or something, like something kind of cheesy like that. I think I would have been okay with. Or sometimes you'll interact with items in the world that will do something. I don't want to say too much. There's a, like let's say I come over here and hit a button on my desk and it opens my garage door, letting me go out into the street and kind of like explore stuff out there. A lot of times when you're interacting with things in the world, they feel like they're not doing anything, even though they are, and then you kind of have to fumble around a little bit and figure out like what each thing does. The final negative for me is that because there's large sections of the game that are kind of like missable, when I got to the end, I still didn't really know what was going on, and I had to look up a what the hell happened in this game article. If it's a narrative focused walking simulator and I have to Google what happened in this game to be able to even understand the story, like I feel like something kind of went wrong. But that's everything that I have to say about, I was going to say What Remains of Ethan Carter, of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. If you've played this game, let me know what you think about it in the comment section, and you can look forward to another game review next Friday. Thanks, guys.